Tonight, we're drinking and dodging death itself because we're diving into the Final Destination franchise. Dude, I have a whole bottle.
Do you need one of these?
Wait, bring them back up again now. Good times. Red, white, and blue. I can see that you've used one red one.
Of course, it's all a cup. Here we go, baby.
All right. Here.
You got this.
Cheers, bud.
Well, hey there. How you doing? Having a good time?
What the fuck are you doing?
You listening? You enjoying your drive? You having a good time watching YouTube, sitting at home? I just want to thank you for listening to another curiously casual episode of Drunk and Demonic. I am Jamie.
I'm Peter. Peter the podcaster. I got my backpack full of booze. It's where I'm pulling my Jameson bottle from because I didn't bring shot glasses.
And we'd like to thank you for listening. See, Peter said that he doesn't want to take it serious anymore, so I'm going serious. This is serious. This is my NPR, which is about to be gone because public radio is cut.
Elon's cutting it, dude.
Elon's cutting. We can't get UFO information no more.
None of it. That came on Coast to Coast, dude. That was not coming from NPR.
Right. Well, is this
welcome. Better? That's better, dude.
Okay.
Fucking quit it, dude.
Tell us what we're talking about. Jesus.
So, welcome back to Drunk and Demonic. Tonight, we're drinking and dodging death itself because we're diving into the Final Destination franchise, meaning 1 through 6, aka the most recent Bloodlines movie that came out. I don't know, what was it, like 2 or 3 days ago? Friday? I think it came out
Friday. When you're listening
you saw
to this,
on opening day.
I did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're a little bit behind here. But
I
anyways,
want to say that this, before he goes into the wonderful explanation of what we're doing, this will contain 0 spoilers for Bloodlines, but 100% spoilers for 1 through 5.
Yeah, if you haven't seen 1 through 5, they came out between 2011. So yeah, we're looking at 14 years. If you haven't watched it by now, maybe you don't care.
We're going to spoil the piss out of those. We are going to review Bloodlines.
Okay. We're not spoiling anything, though.
No, I don't think so. I think it'd be
what about... Okay, that's fair.
Unless you really want to.
No, I think we should just do, we're just going to do a quick, one of these.
Welcome back.
We're back.
So what happened was I decided we weren't going to do spoilers, but I didn't tell Peter. And so we had a little timeout.
I threw a fit.
He didn't throw a fit. He was very reasonable. But his computer brain was like, he's like kind of having a little bit of explosions. And so I was like, hey man, what if we did light spoilers? And
I was like C-3PO when he's trying to relay to R2 that he needs to stop the trash compactors. I was like, they need to stop the trash compactors. We need to do light spoilers so that people can understand that we have seen the movie.
Speaking of seeing the movies, have you ever seen Star Wars?
Yes, I literally am. I'm actually going back through them right now, so okay. I'm kind of...
Maybe that's not how... Okay, anyways, I digress.
You do digress. So, anyways, we are going to cover the first 5 films of the franchise in their entirety, and we're going to, after that, discuss, because we both went and saw it, Final Destination 6, Bloodlines, which has just released in theaters. That is going to have some slight light spoilers.
Why'd you do that? Because you didn't watch it?
No, because I fell asleep the first time I went to watch it. And then I miraculously, like in Final Destination 5, where the chick super doesn't stick the landing, I did stick the landing on this one.
Nice.
I am not going to comment on it any more than that. I stuck the landing and I was able to watch it. No, I snuck in. I went back to the movie theater and watched it, is what I did.
Caught me in the shower.
I paid twice to see this movie, which is kind of bullshit.
Why? I paid double what you paid, guarantee it.
We paid the same amount to go watch it, even though I paid twice.
All right, so.
But you saw an IMAX, so.
Let's roll.
Anyways, yep. We're going to keep on rolling. All right, so the Final Destination series began in 2000 and now includes 5 core films, plus the now released Final Destination Bloodlines. Each movie follows a group of people who narrowly escape some, absolutely ridiculous accident, only for death to come back and then claim them one by one. Now, the Final Destination series is weirdly, questionably a horror movie. I have had a couple people tell me that it's not a horror movie, but it is known for its elaborate death sequences and like Rube Goldberg type machines that kill people.
So I'm gonna throw in real quick because I'm gonna add to the fact that someone says this is not a horror movie.
Okay.
It is. Yes.
Okay. That was my experience. I was like, this definitely is.
It's a suspense movie. It's an anxiety movie, but it's a horror genre. It's like someone saying that someone said online last week that they didn't think The Last of Us was a horror show.
Okay.
Like,
why?
This isn't horror. They said, I don't know. That's what I said.
It's a monster movie.
Like, yeah. That is also horror. This is also horror.
What I would describe it is there's a feeling, like horror is a feeling that you get, right? There's a level of suspense that exists within you that like gets created by these movies. And I think that that's what makes a horror movie. I just like saw like some silly post the other day that was like, what's a non-horror movie that made you feel like it was a horror movie? And I can't remember what all the different responses were, but like,
what'd you say?
I didn't say anything. I'm just saying like, horror is a feeling. It's not like, I know it's like a genre and it gets released as such, but like horror is how it makes you feel. And like, if you're feeling like you get this overwhelming sense of dread or stress or whatever, like that's what horror is at its core, right? So I think that these movies are 100% a horror movie, a horror franchise, I guess I would say. And whoever told me that is gravely mistaken.
It's very nice. Did I say it?
No, you did not say it. I was just looking at the camera because this person... No, the person that said it is going to know.
Oh, I said, why'd you look at me like that? You fucking
cuck. No, I'm looking at the camera, and I didn't mean to, like...
I'm just kidding.
Also, don't cuck me here.
I'm not going to...
You just called me a cuck for no reason.
I will never cuck you, I promise. All right,
okay. So, anyways, this movie, like, especially with a new one coming out, it brings back feelings. Do you remember the first time watching any of the Final Destination movies?
I remember.
Did you see them from the beginning? I guess
I saw 1 and 2, and I don't
in the theaters.
I don't think I saw 3, 4, or 5.
Okay,
ever.
Yeah. So right when I was going into high school, I remember seeing 3, and it like left like a significant weight on me as like a person, right? Because these movies like. There's a lot of horror out there that is like really interesting or like terrifying and stuff like that. But not a lot of horror does a great job of like making you look at your surroundings and not trusting anything. So I think that like, I remember Final Destination 3 being this huge impactful thing to where like all of the shit that goes on around me can kill me. And I like, that has literally stuck with me today. Like, I still think about, especially roller coasters, like,
oh, really?
Fucking terrifying, dude.
Yeah, see, it doesn't, like, that didn't really affect me as much as, like, number 2, like, the logged, like, semi-truck.
Yep.
Was definitely the one to this day that if I see, like, a truck carrying logs, I'm like,
yes, for sure, though. Yeah. Like, these movies have that kind of staying power where, like, yes, they are beyond ridiculous, and some are more ridiculous than others, but it's hard to say that you can watch these movies and not have them affect your everyday life.
I agree completely.
At least your thoughts.
Toaster. Garbage disposal.
Well, I mean, there's so many deaths.
Let's go into the movies and then we'll explain
so
more.
Anyways, so, yeah. Let's fucking buckle up because Premonition says that this podcast is about to get bloody. We're going to rewind it all the way back to the year 2000, a doomed flight to Paris, and a teenage freakout that started it all. So, released in 2000, Final Destination 1 features our primary character, Alex Browning, and the Flight 180. So, it begins with this premonition, like, he has this kind of dream while he's sleeping, and then he wakes up. But anyways, in his dream, him and all of his friends, I guess not really his friends, he doesn't really have a lot of friends.
His Todd.
Yeah, he has those brothers, right?
His Todd.
And the brothers are his friends, and one of them dies, and the other one doesn't. But anyways, in this dream that he has, they're all heading on this class trip to Paris. And as they're taking off, something goes wrong and the whole plane fucking explodes. So he wakes up and all of a sudden he's in the plane, right? And then he starts to see these small things that also happen in his dream. Like he cuts his finger on the lunch table that's supposed to drop down.
When he wakes up, he's in his room.
And then he starts to piece it together after that.
He wakes up in his room, and then they cut to him talking to his dad and parents. Getting
at the airport, and then
they go to the airport, and then him and Todd are right there, and Todd's like, you know the probability of an airplane fall or crashing is like 1 in 250 million. He's like, you have a better chance of dying
on the way to the airport.
Way to it.
Yeah.
So then when he gets into the airplane,
things start happening that he recognizes.
He sees things, and he gets like that deja vu, which will be like carried on through the movies for the whole series. But he starts getting that deja vu, and then he sits down in his chair after giving up his seat so those two hotties can sit with each other, sits down, and then that's where he gets the whole flashback.
Okay.
He dreamt about it at the beginning.
But then he sees it more so.
He sees things that he saw in his dream, kind of like putting pieces together, and then he full on has like the whole crash like dream while he's in the actual airplane. And he wakes up.
And then he wakes up. Okay.
Freaks out.
See, like, and not like it's been that long since I've seen all of these, but like we are doing like a recall type of thing.
Yeah,
where
it's
like
a lot to cover. You've watched 5
6 movies.
I mean,
so
I'm here for you, dog.
Hell yeah, dude. That's my guy right there, dude. So anyways, that's how we get introduced to this movie, which was a little bit of backstory. Originally meant to be an X-Files episode.
What? Really?
Yeah,
cool.
So the whole thing was, so the producer and the director of the original Final Destination movie is a producer on the X-Files. And it was a storyline that was kind of brought to the table there. And they decided, instead of making it an episode, to do a full-length feature movie of it.
Wow,
because it was
cool.
because the storyline was that good on it, that they were like, hey, we can do more with this. And also, of course, we can franchise this. And that's why this guy is tied into, if he's not directing, he is still producing all of the movies up until the most recent Bloodlines.
James Lang?
Yes. He's
he
tied into
X-Files?
all of that. Yep.
I didn't know that. Cool.
Writer-producer on the X-Files.
Fun fact.
Yep.
So he definitely wrote and directed the first one.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Right. So where we are.
Anyways, we get introduced to like a lot of cool stuff, but pretty much what happens is that like this guy freaks out and saves whoever either gets thrown off the plane with him for having this freak out. There's our typical that we get to see through almost all of the movies. We have a jock, we have a bratty girl, we have a skeptic, and we have like almost like a co-lead, I guess, that kind of like believes what's going on and supports them, but doesn't specifically receive the premonitions that the lead does.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a formula that we work with for a long time. So in the movie, they all die, but he saves people. So what happens is he freaks out, people get pulled off the plane, and then death comes after them. And we kind of get introduced to what would be called death's design, which is the idea that death has a set plan and interfering with it has consequences, right? You don't get skipped because you didn't die in this airplane crash. It just comes after you after that. Mm-hmm. We get introduced to the main character, Alex Browning. We get introduced to Clear Rivers, which is an interesting name. I was just like...
Well, so the whole time I thought, because you know how I like am really bad with names, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I kept thinking...
You thought it was Claire, didn't you?
I thought it was Claire the whole time. And I thought that by...
Because you don't watch with subtitles.
I was watching with subtitles, and I thought that it was just saying the wrong name until at the end it's like
you see
clearly someone says Clear. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. But they were going to say like in like the credits, it has like Clear Rivers.
No.
And you're like, anyways, we also get introduced in this movie to William John Bloodworth, who is the mortician in the first movie, who will return pretty continuously through the movies. Not in every one of them, but pretty regularly. I'd say like
Which one's he
3 out of
not
the
in?
5. He's not in 2, I don't think, and he's not in 4.
He's in 2 for sure.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe he's not in 3. I think there was 2 that I remember him
Really?
not being in. Yeah.
No, he's definitely in 2 because Clear.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll talk about it in a second.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I don't know if there's so moral of the story is death comes for you, whether you avoid it through premonitions or not.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the first Final Destination, we have both Alex and Clear alive.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, cut to Final Destination 2, which is released 3 years later. We have a premonition. This woman has a premonition of like this huge highway pile up, and there's semi trucks carrying logs, motorcycles, and this huge, pretty much just like a massive like pile up on an interstate. We have Kimberly Corman, who is our main character in this story, and she visits Clear, who is alive. So
first, I want to talk about,
yeah,
like I said, this opening scene was the one that all like to this day was the one that like has affected me.
It's the one that gets you?
Yeah,
okay.
For sure. That whole like on the highway, if I see a log driving semi, I'm like, fuck.
We're fucked. We're all gonna die. Yep.
Yes. And also she has the same exact premonition as Alex did in the first one. And it all comes back to her. She blocks it all. And just like in the first movie, no one believes her until the first person dies. So one person dies from her friend group, and then they're like, we know there's one person that has survived this same story. Because they bring up the fact that 180 like happened in this whole thing, and they're like, there's a
because
person.
it's involved in the story, right? It's
Yes.
like it's Final Destination 1 plays a role in Final Destination 2.
And that's when they're like, there's this girl who survived the flight and all of her friends died, and she self-voluntarily has put herself in this padded room. So that's where you were getting at.
Exactly. So we find out that Clear is still alive, and she goes to meet with Clear and be like, hey, what the fuck is going on? Like, I had a vision that this was going to happen, and then it did, but we all lived. And she's like, you're like all fucked because somehow I've been able to manage to stay alive, but Alex is dead.
Well, can I also say that they didn't give any explanation to Alex other than she held up a Polaroid and set it down, and he was just like face down, and that was it.
Yeah. So I don't believe it for a fucking second.
Well,
I'm just going to throw that out there now.
Do you think he died the same way that the other guy died in Paris?
Nope. No, I don't think Alex is dead.
Okay, go on.
And that's like, we can talk, I mean, we'll talk about it now, but it's because I thought that it was going to show up in Bloodlines.
Okay.
But it doesn't. So I don't think that's necessarily a spoiler. So we find out that Clear is still alive from the first movie, and Kimberly is the premonition receiver in Final Destination 2. Now, they begin dying, like all of the people that she saved begin to dying in like crazy ways. And a friend of hers digs in and finds out that there's this Flight 180 thing that has like, this is also so funny because it's all tying into like the advent of the internet, right? Where like these like message boards and forums are like accessible, and that's where like people are having conversations and they like show it. And I can't remember like what the forum is that like they bring up in this movie, but it's like early internet is a wild place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where all of this stuff is taking place. And people are like, oh yeah, I found this on the internet. And like nowadays would be like, yeah, I don't fucking trust that at all. But back then it'd be like, oh, I was able to see an article about this family or this like, you know, this group of teenagers that survived a plane crash and then they all died afterwards kind of thing. So I don't know. I thought that it was like really interesting bringing in Clear specifically in this movie because it's the only one I think that has like a really direct tie-in to the next one where we don't see characters living or at least being featured in the movies that follow it. Right.
I just assumed it's because Devon Sawa like wouldn't sign on for the second film.
Well, yeah, he got
too big.
Yeah. Did he? I thought that like
I
think Casper was his big break.
He definitely like cascaded down. I think he did like Idle Hands. I actually like Idle Hands is awesome, but I also looked it up because it was like I thought he was dead. I was like, fuck, didn't that guy die? No, he was.
He was just in stuff recently.
It's just in Hard
Yes,
Eyes.
Hard Eyes, and there was something else like super recently that we've even covered. I'm looking at really
while you
quick.
keep talking. I'll look it up.
Okay.
You keep talking.
So yeah, perfect. So there's like we kind of also have been like looking at like what changes from movie to movie, and the notable detail that changes in the second one is that potentially bringing a new life into Death's like into the world may alter Death's design, and that kind of gets turned on its head because it ends up not working at all. So at the end of the movie, spoilers, there's this baby that is supposed to come into the line of survivors.
Yes.
Because one of the survivors is pregnant and then has a baby, but you're going to have to actually, like, do you have information on Devon Sawa? Because I need to rely on you for this here. Do you remember, like, how exactly it was that, like, it worked, but it didn't work kind of thing? Didn't the baby die or something?
No, the baby lived, but she wasn't supposed to die. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. She wasn't supposed to be part of that wreck, is what they found out.
No, you're totally right.
So he was in Chucky. He was in Hard Eyes. He was in Hacks. I don't see anything. Oh, he was in Black Friday. That's what you're talking about.
Yep.
Devon
Black
Sawa
Friday. We talked about it on the show.
Black Friday. Yep. It also says he was in Final Destination 3, which I don't remember that.
I don't remember. Well, they do flashback stuff. And so I don't think that necessarily counts.
Yeah. So I thought the plot twist was that she wasn't supposed to be there.
So she doesn't count. The baby doesn't count either.
Yes.
So this one was like, there was Final Destination 2 is like known as like, the first two are like what we call like a dark, like horror, right? They take themselves pretty seriously. And like, yes, it's a little ridiculous, but there's not like an over-the-top amount of violence kind of thing as we would get later in the franchise. But it has just like a dark tone to it, and I think that that's worth noting.
See, so I could definitely tell. I had to look it up because I'm like, this is not the same director. I thought that this was...
So what... Yeah. So they bounce in the first 4 movies.
Yes.
Maybe it's 5 even. I can't remember if it's the 5th movie is directed by James Wang.
5 is a completely different writer and director then.
Okay.
So 1 and 3 are James Wang. And then 2 and 4 are David something.
Okay. Yeah, no, I knew that. Yeah, so they kind of switched directors. And both of them are producers on the X-Files.
So I could tell the difference in the 2.
Mm-hmm.
Could you? Like the difference in the director? I thought 2 was very much the same. Like it was they're like, hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Throw in the same exact thing, but put different people into it. That's what I thought from 2. A little bit better or a little bit more gore. Where in the first one,
I think that the deaths are very good in 2.
Yes. So this is David R. Ellis.
Yep. But both of them are writers on all of them.
He died?
Right? It's just about direction.
Wow. What? This guy passed away, dude.
Well, death comes for all of us.
Yeah, I guess so.
Even if you write movies about it.
R.I.P., buddy. All right, where are we at? Go on.
So, we have the first movie that introduces what we would call the grand scheme of Death's design, where, like, you think you can cheat death, but you really can't, right? If you're supposed to die, you're supposed to die, and it'll come get you no matter what, right? In the second one, we have the idea that, like, maybe you can reset Death's design by introducing a new, like, a child pretty much into the plan, right? Now, we're going to move on to Final Destination 3.
Well, they're also...
So,
one more thing. They also let us know that you can reset the timeline by dying. And that's how the end of this movie is. Kimberly actually drowns herself and gets resuscitated.
That's what I was like, was that 4 or was that 2? No. I could not remember. Yeah. And mostly because I watched these back to back and they kind of blend together.
It's because they're all exactly the same.
The same movie for the most part.
2 is she kills herself, comes back.
Okay. She drives the car off the bridge or off the dock and says, hey, come get me. Kind of thing. It
has one of the best endings because she's sitting there like with a family after living and they're like talking about there's the kid out in the yard. They're like, oh, like He got saved. He was at the wreck. He was at the middle of this whole big wreck, and he got pushed out of the way and survived. And then, like 2 seconds later, he just fucking
barbecue blows
up and kills him.
Like, that's where I was like, I don't know. I think I did myself a disfavor by watching all of them so fast. But you did the same thing. You just probably took more notes than I did.
No, I decided to like not let my phone do a thing, and I paid attention for once.
Yeah.
So let's go into 3.
Sweet. So in 3, we start out with this premonition where there's a roller coaster at senior grad night, and it malfunctions, derails, and kills everyone on board, right? It has to be, so there's 3 seats, there's, I think, 6 cars. So we're talking 18, 20 people or something like that. So the survivor, our main character is Wendy, and she's the class photographer. She sees, like, she's the one that receives the premonition as she's sitting in the seat about to take off, right?
Yeah. Could we also say that it's pretty fucked up that they're like, all right, no, you guys have to stay in. And it's like, no, please let me out. And they're like, no, you have to stay in.
No, not going to happen. You get to ride. Read the sign. Says fucking anyone past this point has to ride.
Exactly.
So anyways, Wendy does have this whole premonition thing occur to her, and she freaks out, and she gets out and brings, for some reason, I don't understand why, her boyfriend doesn't ride with her. He rides up front with the boyfriend's best friend. She sits in the back with him. And then his girlfriend sits up front with...
Well, because she was too scared to ride in the front, but he really wanted
No, for
to.
sure.
So the boyfriend and the boyfriend's friend flipped a coin on who had to ride with her. Yeah, he was basically a bad boyfriend.
I was going to say, this is a case of bad boyfriend.
He'd be like, hey, just go ride the back with your girlfriend, dude.
Just like, dude, it's not my fucking girlfriend. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's also going to be a pretty good time, like, in the back.
Yeah, dude. High-flying experience, Go have fun. Anyways, I don't know why the boyfriend is sitting up front with the other dude's girlfriend, and then they're on the back of the fucking thing. But anyways, she freaks out. She gets off the ride. Friend, not her boyfriend, gets off the ride with her. Then some other dudes that get all pissed off about this thing get off and try to fight him. And then there's another weird couple that's like watching this whole thing happen that also are like part of it. I don't exactly know why they're involved because they weren't on the roller coaster. So the whole thing is kind of weird to me. Mm-hmm. So Wendy this happens, and then all of a sudden the whole fucking roller coaster blows apart, and everyone that's on the roller coaster super dies. And like the most grotesque, craziest things that I've seen in the series so far. And what we get to understand is that she can see who's going to die through these photos that she took. And I don't know exactly, like, going back through, I don't remember if people are dying exactly as they died in her premonition, or if they die as they're dying in her photos. Do you remember the difference between them?
They die in...
Or are they exactly the same?
No, they have.
Okay. So I don't exactly even know what that means.
The premonition is exactly the same, though, too.
I guess they sit them accordingly, too.
But she becomes... So one of the biggest misses in 2, which they brought back up in 3, is there was no realization of what the order was going to be of people dying in 2. They're just like, these people are dying, and this is why. Where in 3, there's like 1 in 3, like they figure out why and how people are going to die. She realizes it through the pictures, and that's when she like goes and she's like, oh no, I have to stop this, because she knew about it from, I think, Carter is the guy that she wrote with in the back seat.
Definitely.
He's the one that brought all this up to her, and she didn't believe it until the first people died. Or no, until she started
he's like the first
it.
one that, like, I distinctly remember, like, this is the coming of the age of the internet. Is like, yep, I did this research online and I found this group of people, and then also this other group of people that, like, both of them are claiming the same thing, because he brings in both Flight 180 and this weird car crash, right?
And then she doesn't believe it until she goes to let her sister borrow her camera. Yep. And she goes to
and sees her out the window. Yep.
Starts seeing all the little signs. And that's when she's like, okay, we have to stop this.
Yep. But the sister's gone at that point. She's pulled out of the driveway.
Mm-hmm. True.
So I think that's like what 3 brought us is the notable detail of, like, there's a visual, exactly like what you're saying. Like, we get to know who's next kind of thing versus it being totally random.
Well, one did it too. One did the same thing. So what I think happened is one was made, and then it switches over from James Wang to David. And David's like, you know what this movie needs? This movie needs way better murders, way better kills. And so he took the same plot, a little not as well written as the one that James Wang did, but he gave us way better kills. And so James Wang's like, you know what? I can do that. He's like, I'll take a movie, I'm going to write it better, and I'm going to add just as many just as good of kills, enough better kills than two.
Yep.
That's what I saw it as.
Yep.
All right. Where were you?
So the notable difference between because each movie is going to add, it's weird how little gets added to the lore. We're used to movie franchises where this happens and this is why it happened. And then, you get deeper context and you get deeper and deeper and deeper contexts on why things are occurring. Normally in movies, Final Destination has no interest in that, right? They're kind of just focusing on these crazy death scenes.
Don't try to bore us. Just get to the chorus, dude. So Tom Petty
exactly.
said.
There's hey, fucking quit it, dude. We just want to see crazy stuff that is everyday, mundane experiences kill people, right? So the big thing though that we get is the visual clue thing where we're seeing who's next and shit, you can maybe try to intervene in someone's death scene, right? And it eventually works out that the sister gets saved, right? Only to end up dying later, right? So we learn that yes, you get skipped, but it doesn't stop. It just skips and then comes back again. And if you're the only one next, it just comes back again.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. We're going to do our rankings later, but
so can I also say that?
Yeah.
I liked the fact that no one survived in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The nice little plot twist. I almost said twat twist. This little twat twist.
Twat twist.
Nice little twat twist is at the end, they get on a train and everyone fucking dies. And you're like, let's go. All right. I assumed you were ready to talk to.
No. That's not that one. That's the next one.
Yes, it is. That's 3.
Are you sure? I thought the barbecue was the end of it.
That's 2 is the barbecue.
2 is the barbecue. Okay. Yeah. You're right. Sorry.
It's okay.
I saw all these too close.
Okay, buddy.
Okay. So we're going to just jump right on to what's called episode 4, season 4.
Season 4.
Okay. So this is the NASCAR one where this crazy NASCAR crash ends up killing a bunch of people. And this survivor, Nick O'Bannon and his friends, he pulls them all out, some willingly, some literally trying to fight him. Plus these are the guys that are also trying to fight him. And we get to learn that just because you escape the initial scenario doesn't mean you're done with. Mostly because this whole NASCAR explosion shit happens and then he freaks out and he pulls all of the people out. And one of the girls that comes with him is some guy is trying to fight him and his girlfriend is there just screaming at him. And all of a sudden the NASCAR tire comes up and out of the stadium and just crashes from the sky and just literally splits her into 2, but it's really pieces. She completely evaporates, which means that she was, and we get to see she was early and she was the first one to go in the premonition that he had. Anyways, I don't know. That was the first time that immediately something happened because someone intervened. Yes. I don't think we've seen anything happen that fast.
No, we haven't.
So anyways, after that, Nick keeps having premonitions, which has happened, but we don't see it as often as we do in this movie, where every death he sees and it's not a guess. He has this premonition thought that pops into his head and it totally works. That this is exactly, he sees images, not necessarily how things happen. There's a guy that has his girlfriend completely die right next to him. He's a tow truck driver and he somehow gets hooked in the mouth with his tow truck and it drives into a house that completely blows up. Weird shit like that. But he gets to see
because
there's a hook racist. And there's a
he was
tank.
A super racist guy.
He was super racist for sure.
And he said the N-word to the security guard, and that's why he was dragged. He's dragged behind a car on fire because when that movie came out,
he's mad at.
Well, that was happening. In the South, there was a huge controversy about a bunch of white guys in Texas killed like 3 black guys and dragged them behind the truck on fire. And so
really,
when I saw that, I'm like, okay, this is the director being like, fuck you, you racist fuck.
You're going to get yours.
You're going to get dragged.
Yeah. Really? Okay. So like, I have not known any of these movies to be like social commentary. So that's really interesting.
That's where I saw it.
I didn't know that.
That's the first time I saw it.
But fuck them, dude. Like, yeah, good for them. Like, interesting. So I didn't know that context, but there is certainly like that dude's super racist, but like at the end of the day also though, everyone fucking dies. Yeah, I don't know. Is there any like rules that we learned from this movie that like death's rules that we need to like carry on through the later movies?
No, I think this is the biggest thing was he kind of sees the premonition like every single person.
Yep. Yeah, and he doesn't know what it is, but he sees bits and pieces kind of flashing through his like vision or whatever. And he has his initial premonition, which is exactly like what we've come to know is like this huge scene that happens. But then he gets like these dream images that just kind of flash through, and it's like, you know, some of it's this and some of it's that, and he doesn't quite understand how it all ties together. Kind of thing. Is this the one that is in the movie theater?
Yes.
Or is that 5?
No, this is this one.
And the girlfriend gets gobbled up by the escalator?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So definitely he sees the premonition of the friend who was supposed to almost died before in the car wash.
Yep. Yeah.
And then he sees the premonition because he mistaked her and the other guy, misplaced her and the security guard who was supposed to die first.
Yep.
And then has the premonition that she's going to die in the movie theater.
Okay. Yep. No, for sure. And then there's like, they're watching this movie and it's like a countdown to who's going to fucking die. And like he like intervenes and pulls them out again. And then, but like,
she stays.
You can't fuck with death, man. Yep. She stays. She blows the fuck up. She gets eaten by a fucking escalator.
How does he die in this one? I don't remember.
He dies. I don't remember him dying.
He may not have then. Let's move on. This one is obviously the least out in our brain than the rest of them.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so now we're up to Final Destination 5, released in 2011. The premonition is there's like this huge bridge that collapses during a corporate retreat, and some people immediately go off the bridge. Some people get saved. But the biggest thing is that there's someone that lives at the end of the premonition, right?
His girlfriend.
Yeah, his girlfriend at the time lives during the premonition. So like, I remember texting you and be like, I don't know, dude, this one's going to be different because there's someone alive at the end of the premonition. And we have not had that in any of the previous ones. Sam is the guy that has this premonition. And as the survivors die, they're learning new rules. And the biggest rule that we get to see is that if you kill someone, you get to take their time left, right? So do they learn that from, is it Bloodworth or how do they learn that? I can't remember.
They learn it from Bloodworth, yeah.
Okay.
Because he sees them
at the funeral graveyard.
The graveyard warns them, and then he runs into them again. And that's when he's like, they're like, why are you?
And the one dude freaks out. Like, I don't know why. So what ends up happening is that one of the guys tries to kill the other people that are involved. And I don't necessarily know why he's trying to kill those people, because if you're trying to kill the people that have the remaining time left, don't kill someone that's in the premonition, right?
No, so he was going to kill the girl that survived the premonition. So he made it because
that's what it is. Okay.
He went in and
he was
trying to kill the girlfriend.
I totally forgot that. Yep.
And then he shoots the cop that's been following him the whole time.
Yep.
He shoots him and then tells the girl that he has to kill her because he can't have anyone see that he killed a federal agent. And then Peter, I believe is the main character, stabs him in the chest.
So Peter is like the bad guy.
Peter's the guy that shot so
Sam is the good guy.
Yes.
And Molly is his girlfriend who like didn't get killed in the premonition.
Yes.
And then Peter is the guy that's like
tried to kill
freaking
her.
out. Yep.
Can I also add that it was nice that it wasn't, I liked that they had this ending where it wasn't just like death was gonna kill everyone and they're trying to figure it out. I thought it was a nice kind of twist that they were like, okay, we found out that we have to kill someone, so one of the people from the actual death tried to kill the friends in the movie. It's like, oh, after watching 4 of these in like 4 days, it was nice to have a little bit of a change.
Well, also like marathoning these, you're like, what the fuck is the difference between any of these movies?
So you see a little bit of difference. You're like,
this was the one that I think they start to make like, okay, we're actually dealing with like maybe a little bit of development here.
Yeah. Well, I think
then we end. Wait, you were gonna say?
I think the first one had some development to it.
It has to, though, right?
Yeah, and I think from there, like all the ratings were like, nope, we don't want you. Like, because horror when we were kids wasn't like written scripts. It was like, hey, this is it. All people care about is killing and titties. So I need you to have those things. And that's how it was.
Yeah.
And then I think like further and further, and I know you're going to hate me to say this, but like the Marvel movies kind of like started throwing a little bit of structure into things. So we're like, well, like it turns out people kind of want a little bit more
to develop the story.
Yeah.
Right. You can't just do the same thing over and over again.
So I think that's where it kind of stemmed from.
I don't disagree with that at all. And I think that that's kind of where like the Final Destination series landed, probably like at like 4, and maybe they didn't execute super well with 4. But they tried to progress things with 5 to where like we get a little bit different stuff, right? If you kill someone, you can take their remaining life.
Yes.
Right? Death is inevitable, whether you like it or not. He needs a life for a life, right? And that's kind of what they say in the movie. So we get like something that actually matters, right? We get a different way to progress the movie. Yes. It just so happens that the only guy that actually does kill someone picks a guy that is on his deathbed or like has like severe cancer and would have died within weeks anyways, right? So cool. And like cool to introduce it and also have it not fucking matter at all, right? Well, and that was the cool part.
Yes. You were talking about the ending too.
So
your thoughts.
The Final Destination 5 ending ties into the fact that it's, what is his name? Sam and Molly are boarding a flight to France, and it turns out that it's fucking Flight 180 that we experienced in Final Destination 1, right? So we realize, I didn't know, because it wasn't exactly set up. I don't know if they're like, I'd have to like go back through and like look at like cell phones.
I did.
And stuff like that.
The first thing I did is I started looking at cell phones, and I was like, they did not like do anything to prove that this was before the movie. And I was like, this would have been a great twistable ending. However, they did not build this movie to be believable to the end.
Oh, they didn't build it before 2000, right? Yeah. They built it in 2011. But like going back through and looking at it, do you see signs that point to 2010? Or do you see signs that point to 1998? Besides production value, right?
The first thing I saw was cell phones. Everyone had cell phones. Like the dude.
Is that real?
Yeah, the creepy guy from the...
Yeah.
The creepy
he's texting girls the whole time.
He's texting girls the entire time. He's on phone.
Yeah, that dies in the massage parlor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Olivia, who dies getting her eye fixed.
Yeah, the laser
her, and it's on a fucking iPhone, I'm pretty sure, because they can like show a picture of who's calling. So
I didn't have the time to go back through this, but you were so right. This movie makes no fucking sense at the end where it circles back to taking place in 2000. It gets a knock automatically.
Or else it would have been phenomenal.
Yep.
All right.
And I meant to look into that, and I'm glad that you did. So, like, fuck you, Final Destination. Like, don't fucking pretend that you're this and be something different.
Well, I wonder how many people actually knew that or noticed or paid attention.
We did. And I know that I meant to look it up and I didn't get to it, but, like, we have a podcast about it, so we do our due diligence on it. Interesting. Okay. And that was, like, that's the big part of it, is that it ties back into a prequel of the first film. But it makes no fucking sense as a prequel because the entire movie, that's so crazy that they just like decide like in the last 10 minutes to like tie it into the first movie that took place fucking 14 years before this movie came out.
Would have been a
And they're
great
like,
plot
oh,
twist.
shit, I didn't think that we should remove all the other shit.
Do you think it's a rewrite?
It has to. It has to be. Right? They're like, I don't know what our ending should be. And they're like, what if we fucking tie it back in?
Look how cool his beer is.
What does it say?
It says Turbo Reaper IPA.
Turbo Reaper.
Which I don't like IPAs, but I bought this because it had a cool...
Okay, I gotta go pee. This is a good place to stop.
So we just covered... We had to stop and go pee because we had a lot of talking. Because we
Hell
piss.
yeah, dude.
Because people piss. But from there, we're going
Hell yeah,
into...
dude. I piss hard, dude.
Nice, dude. Congrats. Are those the Coronas from last episode?
They are. They're so warm. I can't describe to you how warm this beer is. And you know what? What's a good testament of a good beer? It's not bad warm.
It's like light sipper.
I would say, like, man, I can tell you that, like, PBR is a fantastic beer warm. Corona, not a bad warm beer. Okay?
Perfect.
It doesn't have to be ice cold to be enjoyable.
I'm into it.
Speaking of which, you know what doesn't have to be ice cold to be enjoyable? Final Destination 6. Bloodlines.
Why? What does that have to do with it?
I wore sweatpants, so I got really hot during the movie. I also have like restless leg syndrome, so when I get hot, it really flares up. So either way, none of this really mattered because this movie was pretty fucking good.
Yes,
in my opinion, right? So we'll get into some discussion about it just after this. We don't have the same kind of deep dive that we do with the other episodes or the other movies, but to start off with, we have this scene where it takes place in like 1960s. And if you or I had not watched any trailers, we would have thought, cool, it's like a weird period piece for the Final Destination franchise. But I knew that it wasn't. I knew that it was a callback kind of thing. Either way, it doesn't take away from the fact that it was super fucking crazy and super nuts how this death, like the opening death scene could be the best one in the franchise.
The only thing I'm going to say is, how do a bunch of dancing people not realize that that glass is shattering below their feet?
They put their hands up and shout, "Come on now, come on now!"
It's just too loud.
Come
They're not
on
even paying
now.
attention.
Yeah, exactly, dude. They put their hands up and shout. Also, white people love that song.
This is the first movie that is direct. I think Final Destination 5 was also not
5 as well, was directed by someone different than the original guys.
And so this one is completely different as well.
Yep. New crew, new blood. Obviously, I don't even know if the guys are still alive that directed and wrote the first 4.
James Wang definitely is.
Okay. But either way,
he's still very prominent in a horror film. But David, the director for 2 and 4, did pass away.
Okay.
I'm just going
to say though, like this is like the revitalization of the series, because as we go back, we're looking at in 2001 the first one released, and they're releasing like about every 3 years a new movie, and we're looking at 14 years between movies, between 5 and then now Bloodlines, which is not labeled as 6, but it's the 6th one in the franchise, right?
Yes.
So, anyways. We like drop into a scene from the 1960s, and it's the Final Destination that we have grown to know and love throughout the entire series, where there's this premonition and then it gets stopped, but not before we get to see all the fucked up shit happen first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then different though from how we normally see it, where it's a bunch of random people that are kind of like just trapped in this death's construct kind of plan. We get to learn that, like, death doesn't just take... so we get to learn that the lady, the mother, that stopped all of this disaster and death from happening has a family. And there's 2 distinct lines of the family. She has a brother, or she has a son and a daughter. And those son and daughter also have children, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the movie goes from, like, a technical aspect... This is something totally new that we haven't seen before, where normally it's just like, who's going on this roller coaster, who's riding on this plane, or who's supposed to be in this car crash or NASCAR or whatever, right? Whereas now we get to see something like kind of original. Do you think that the movie was that original?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought there was a lot of things where watching the 5 before you grow to expect, and then they slightly tweaked it. Just a little bit.
Yeah, they fucked with you, didn't they?
Where you're like, yes. I remember being in the theater when the first like twist happened, and I was like genuinely excited. And like towards the end of 5, I'm like, all right, get me. I don't want to watch these anymore. Like, let's get through this last one. Watching Bloodlines, I was like, I was like genuinely excited. I'm like, what happens next? This is great.
Yeah. Well, because what we've come to know from the franchise is like kind of gets turned on its head to where we almost can't trust it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's what they do with this one is they like introduce a factor that like what you think isn't even necessarily true because what we're getting is all narration, right? Mm-hmm. We're getting the stories from the people that are asking people, but those people don't have to tell the truth. And that's kind of what we get, right? And so I thought that it was super cool. I thought that we got introduced not necessarily into new ideas because they bring in the biggest thing that I think that it introduced was we actually got to know who William John Bloodsworth is it Bloodsworth or Bloodsmore? I can't remember.
It's Bloodsworth.
Okay. We get to actually know him, right?
Yes.
And he hasn't been in every movie. But we brought him up in the first episode, or like on our cover of the first one.
He's in at least 3.
Yeah, but we get to know who he is in this one, which is the coolest part of, in my opinion, the coolest part of the whole movie because he's been in all the movies, most of them at least, and it's kind of been like really ambiguous on like who he is. Is he deaf? That was kind of like what I always thought of him as.
Well, and then in
he
5,
was supposed
they really
to be
made it seem
deaf.
like he was like death's carrier.
Yep. And he's in the first one and he like interacts with the people and like he's like this weird kind of guy that is the mortician that like you don't really know a whole lot about. But then we get to learn the actual backstory on him and we're not going to spoil anything, but you get to know about him and it makes the whole series kind of tie together in my opinion. Right? It all matters now because we get something that ties everything together and it's not a perfect bow, but it does matter.
I thought it was a pretty good way.
And it didn't even give away too much. It just said, hey, this is who this person is and this is why he matters, right? But what he relates to us is that you can stop death in 2 ways. And these are the ways that we already know, right? You can die yourself and be resuscitated, or you can kill someone else and take their time. Right. And that's the moral dilemma that goes on through the rest of the movie is like, hey, what do we do with this? But what I think that was good about this movie, you'll probably agree, is like, we don't have a bunch of random people. We have a family and we kind of get to know them a little bit more intimately than we do traditionally. Normally we get the survivors, but like, who gives a fuck about the survivors? We have 1 or 2 people at most that matter to us. And everyone else is like, we kind of want to see him die because that's what we're here for. And these people, and I know that like, it mattered a whole lot more to see these characters. And I think it's the longest one in the franchise.
I assume so.
Mostly because I think the initial sequence like took up 25, 30 minutes of the whole thing, which is new. But also like, we get to care about the characters and we see them trying to like be protective of each other and like they're not just looking out for themselves. Even the ones that are like our definition pieces of shit, right? Still are like so hell bent on stopping this unstoppable force.
Yes.
And the last thing I'll say about why I liked the movie is that we get to see the thing that was like always shown to us, but not always shown to the people involved in the movie is that seeing is believing. And that if you don't think that this thing is happening, fucking watch this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kind of thing. And I don't think that was like so much prevalent. Like it happened, but it wasn't like in this one, there's a specific moment that says, hey, this shit's fucking real. If you don't believe me, fucking watch this. And I don't think that there's been that level of honesty or, well, I don't exactly know what to call it. What do you think that is? Like, how would you describe that?
Like humility. Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. Keep going. Spitting sweet poetry, sir.
I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, this movie was very good and how unique it was.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because I think it did a lot more than the previous movies have done in the series as far as giving us a purpose and someone to care for. It's what we talked about in the last episode, like, or not the last episode. When we were talking about The Last of Us, right? Mm-hmm. The problem with horror movies is that it's really hard to tell a story and create characters that you care about. Whereas series, they just take so long that like you're able to do both of them at the same, or like not at the same time, but like you can do one episode this and one episode this, and like yes, they can be in the same episode, but like it's really hard to do it at the same time. Yes. And I think that this was like really good at doing it at the same time, where like I cared about the piece of shit that didn't believe in anything.
Yes,
exactly. Especially once he like goes through his stuff and you like learn about him and things like that. Like he's obviously the least likable character and you're supposed to not like him, but you have to because everyone else is like, who the fuck are those guys?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that, yeah, I'll get into more of that in our rankings. Yeah. But
we both agree that everyone should probably go see this.
It's fantastic. Go see it.
Horror fans need to go see this movie.
Yep. Horror fans, Final Destination fans, everyone.
I was pleasantly surprised and I called you right away after getting out of this movie. I'm like, I got to call him. I had to call Peter.
I knew it. As soon as you called me, you're like, I'm not going to tell you anything about it. I'm just calling to let you know I went and saw it. I was like, oh, it's fucking good.
Yeah.
Because you would not have fucking bothered if it wasn't.
No, I wouldn't have.
No. Because we've done this before where it was like, oh, we got to go check this movie out. And you're like, nah. It was okay.
No, I had to call you. And I'm like, I'm not giving anything away.
This one's very good, man.
This is exciting. All right, let's moving on.
I'd say let's go straight into rankings. I know that we're going to do best deaths. You want to lead us off?
We got best deaths. We have worst deaths. And then
we're going to rank all the movies.
The movie rankings. Right?
As a whole.
So for best deaths, I have George being hit by the ambulance.
Okay. And that's in 5, correct?
It's in 5.
Yep.
Because the reason why I put him in this is because he escaped it. He tried to kill himself and all these things. Like he tried so hard to kill himself or try to die, and then walking to the movie theater to go save Janet, he just gets fucking hit by the ambulance. And I'm like, that is so Final Destination to a T. I love it.
Yeah, like there's something else working here.
Every time someone gets hit by an ambulance, I'm like, yep. That one's good because it's unexpected. All right. Number 4, I have the kid at the end of number 2. At the very end.
Blowing up.
At
the barbecue. Okay.
We already kind of explained that one, so.
Yep. I like it.
Number 3, I have Kat, who got hit by the pipe while driving the car from number 2. Where the pipe just straight goes through the whole car, like right through her body.
Yep.
Number 2, I have Olivia when she's getting eye surgery. I guess it relates to me a lot because I'm blind. And I was like, oh, that would suck.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. Number 1, I have Ashley and Ashlyn, known as the Tanning Titty Twins from number 3.
Okay. I love it, dude.
My number 1 best death. It is so good. Like, you know what's going to happen. Like, the thing about Final Destination, like, killings is, like, they keep, like, stringing you along a whole bunch like, to give you that anxiety. This one, they're like, hey.
It's deliberate.
These people are going to fucking die in these tanning booths, and it's going to be brutal. And I was like,
and it sucks, dude. Oh, it's so brutal.
This is going to be such a good movie. That's what I do.
Okay. Well, I'm going to just, like, straight go into mine. They are my 5 as a pair. Okay?
That's your 5th?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my 5th favorite
number
death.
1. What? All right.
Okay. My 4th favorite is going to be the barbed wire explosion.
From Rory.
Yep.
In number 2?
It's in number 2, right? Where they're at the scene and then the fucking, like, whatever, the ambulance explodes and it blows the barbed wire and it cuts the dude into 3 pieces.
Yeah, he saves the kid from almost getting hit by the car, which runs over the barbed wire, which kills him. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep. I love that. Just like, I don't know. It's like the second one has so many good death scenes.
Yes, it does.
And they're not like overly CGI, but that one is good. My 3rd is also going to be from the second one, and it's definitely the dude that gets his fucking head blown through by the fucking log.
Oh, yeah. So I left that one out because it wasn't the main character.
Okay. I guess I didn't know that.
Well, it's not. Like, there's no rules, but like in my brain, I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep it to the main characters, or else I would 100% had that one too.
Well, it's just like, it's the one that probably, it's close to, it stuck with me the most. Mostly because like you're talking about, like you don't drive down a road anymore and not be terrified of truck hauling logs.
Exactly.
Because you've seen that movie, right? Okay. So I am now into the second spot, and it's going to be from the most recent Bloodlines one. And I know we debated on this. Am I allowed to keep it?
That's fine. I left mine
Okay.
out.
So there's a scene, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's an MRI machine that sucks metal into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so brutal. It is like, it could be number one if I didn't already know what the one that fucking fucked with me the most was. As soon as I saw this, like, but anyways, so it's fucked up, and the MRI machine fucks shit up. It's a two-parter, right? So that's all I'm going to say about that one. I'm not going to spoil anything. My number one scene is from Final Destination 5. It is when the chick fucks up on the uneven bars.
What's her name? I'll grab
I
it.
can't remember what her name is. I can look it up.
Her name is Candace.
But anyways,
Candace.
Yep. Yes, Candace. When Candace fucks up on the uneven bars. And it's not that the scene so much is like that crazy or anything like that, but the aftermath of it and seeing the body the way that it looks is the grossest fucking thing I think I've ever seen. Like, she's this like weird, almost like a balled up mound of bones sticking out of a body. And it's the most uncomfortable I was in the entire series. It's my favorite death only because it made me so uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It was no question the most disgusting death.
Well, and in Bloodlines in IMAX, I felt that with almost all of them. I was like,
that's so crazy because I didn't get to see IMAX, but
it was so good. See, the only reason why I didn't have the Candace one on mine, it's up definitely in the top 10, but I don't think
you're going to put in your worst deaths.
No, it's not. I don't think it's realistic, though.
It's not super realistic. You're not wrong there. I think that it was the one, for some reason, like the image of it, I can see it in my head even right now. And it's the only one that I really like distinctly can think like, dude, that one was fucked up.
I still hold to Ashlyn and Ashley.
Dude, but that's such a fantastic fucking, yeah. They rank it there. I put them in my top 5 only because like, yeah, we'll get into it later because I'll explain why they're lower on my list.
All right, let's just go to the worst.
Okay.
You want me to go? I'll go. I go.
Yeah, go.
So at number 5, I have Clear and Eugene, because why would you bring a character back to let her die this stupidly?
Remind me again. I don't have that one on my list, and I'm honestly like trying to remember it.
So Clear went to go check on Eugene, who was in the hospital bed, after they found out that the lady that was driving the white van was not she wasn't in premonition to die. And so they're like, oh, then they're talking about Eugene because of the doctor.
Yeah, and the whole thing just blows backwards.
She saw, and so everything just blows up.
Yeah, that was stupid.
Too. I was very, very pissed off. I'm like, why do you bring a character back to kill her like that? Number 4, I have the douchey guy from number 3 with the forward hat and the video camera.
Huh?
I have him.
What was his name? Is it James or is it Charles or something like that?
Remember. So they don't even show the death in this movie.
It's not even worth it.
It's a picture. They show a picture of him getting a fan to his head. So it's not even part of the movie.
No, I liked that one.
No, they didn't show it.
I know, but like I still liked it. I'm going to keep that one at least a little bit higher. I'm not going to put it in my worst deaths. Because I was like, I totally get Clear. Like, I think, so Clear's in my top 5, or my worst 5, I guess.
Well, I guess I was mad because he was like an integral part of the roller coaster scene, like where you thought he would be a bigger deal in the movie. And then he was just a picture and an afterthought for the first murder, where they didn't actually show him getting killed.
Yeah. I know. I totally get you on that one. I'm not even disagreeing. I think that like, yeah, he's like the weird, like creepy dude. Not even like creepy, like normal creepy. He's just like, what is his name? It's Frankie, dude. Frankie Cheeks. But I love that like there's a fucking engine motor that just like, or an engine fan that just blew through his fucking head. I liked it. Okay. Number 3.
Number 3, I have Janet from number 5 in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the only reason why they did this is
lame.
Because
yep.
Well, it's because they just recently introduced 3D movies. So, like, this needs to be an explosion. So the fire comes out of the movie.
We're going to count down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 2, which is controversial that I have this here, but the concept is so stupid that I couldn't let it not be part. So Hunt in number 4, when he gets stuck to the bottom of the pool.
I have that one in mind.
He's a 6'6" man, and he gets sucked into like a hole this big.
Well, yeah.
How does water pressure do this? This is fucking so dumb. All right.
You know Chuck Palahniuk?
I do.
So he has a compilation of short stories that he's written that are like one of the, like, there's a couple of weird fucked up things in like these short stories. It's almost like, fuck, the whole thing is kind of like Found Hallucination now that I think about it. But there's literally a scene where like this dude fucking like puts his butt against it while he's jerking off because like the suction gives him pleasure while he's jerking off. And like 100% I was like, oh, this is the Chuck Palahniuk stories. They like full on ripped it off. And it just literally, he gets, what do they call that? There's a specific name for it.
I'm sorry, I don't know that.
The cow's a lot.
Anyways, you want to hear my number 1? Mrs. Luton from Final Destination 1. She's the teacher.
I like completely forgot about this one. Yeah, that was such a fucking lame.
I think it's their first way they tried to like make it like suspenseful.
Yeah.
Where it's just like things just kept happening, and it started with water going on the computer. It's just like that's not going to do anything. And then it like trickled down, and then she ended up getting stabbed in the eye. And I think Devon Sawa's character Alex came in at the end and finds her. Yeah, that was my least favorite.
Yeah, that one, and I didn't even put that one in mine, but that one was really fucking lame. There's a lot of lame deaths, and like they're lame by themselves, but sometimes like in context to others, like it's even worse. So my 5, like I can't agree with your 1 more. I totally missed it though, so it's not on my list. My 5 was the guy that had his butt sucked out.
Yeah,
it's called rectal prolapse.
Okay.
Right now, it happens way more extreme in that movie, but it was like such a different deal. Where like you're saying, like he's this huge jacked dude. Like the fucking suction in the pool isn't that fucking aggressive.
No.
My next one, this is going to be a controversial pick, and you're going to have to tell me whether or not I need to pick something new. But fucking, what's her name from the 4th one that didn't die in the car wash?
Janet.
I was fucking pissed off that Janet didn't die then.
Yeah, I thought it would be awesome that she died.
It would have been one of the coolest deaths if she had died. So I put that in my 4 slot, and then I actually had Janet's death in the 3 slot. Because it was really fucking lame that they were like, oh yeah, she's in a movie and she blows up or whatever.
I think, after seeing how cool that car wash scene was, and then
it would have been so fucking epic if she had just gotten like wrapped around it, or like it just like beat the fuck out of her face, or like scrubbed like down to her skeleton or something like that. It would have been so fucking cool.
If only.
So yeah. Anyways, the second worst death is gonna come from, I think it's in 4.
Tell me.
I'm like living in my head. Oh yeah, no, it was Clear's death. So that's in 2. Mm-hmm. Clear's death. And you already discussed it, why it wasn't very good. And my worst death was the mom from Bloodlines.
Well, you can't say that. Okay.
Sorry.
You did. Yeah. Why?
It was just like, it was dark. I like couldn't really see anything. And it happens so fast that like you don't even get to like appreciate it. And all of a sudden, like it doesn't progress any, like, yes, it goes.
You talking about the mom at the end or the grandma?
The mom at the end.
I thought that was a great death.
See, like I don't know.
Really?
It was so dark, I like could barely even tell what happened. I couldn't see what the fuck happened. It like literally was like, the fuck am I looking? Oh, jeez.
That's not her fault.
That kind of thing.
It was a great death.
Okay. Well, that's just my opinion, bro.
Fair enough.
So that's my least favorite death of the whole thing.
Let's go into ranking.
It was super quick, and like I could barely even see what happened.
She literally like catches on fire. Like she gets blown up from the door. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm spoiling. Never mind. Like has Two-Face. Sorry, there are spoilers here. Let's go into our rankings. Change the subject. because I didn't have any of the Bloodlines in mind.
I'm sorry. Like, I didn't know that we were not going to do that, or we were.
Just a spoil, dude. It's okay. No one really listens to us anyways.
That's fair.
Sorry, Andre. You'll see this, but you've already seen it, I bet.
I'm sure.
You're a guy. All right. Are you ready to rank? You want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay. Number 6. I have number 4.
Okay.
Yeah, we can rank. Are you okay with that?
Yeah. Do you want to go through all of yours, or should I just chime in what I have too?
So we're ranking the Final Destination movies from worst to best.
Yep. 6 through 1.
Yes. So my number 6 pick is Final Destination 4, also known as The Final Destination.
Yeah, it's easily the worst one.
Least favorite movie. Least favorite one.
Yep.
Number 5, I have number 5, Final Destination.
Interesting.
5, which would have been higher on the list if they didn't have the fucking ending.
Really? You didn't like the ending? But it also goes back to the fact that
I loved the ending. I loved the
you
plot
researched
twist,
though,
but I knew that it did not make sense to the rest of the movie. I was like, they just threw this at the end to make a twist.
They did though, and I think that we kind of acknowledged that and like, fuck, you're fucking with my rankings now.
Yeah,
because I didn't know that.
Yeah,
no, you're not wrong.
Because I would have definitely put this higher for sure. After that, I have number 2.
Okay,
fine, dandy, good kills. After that, I guess that's 6, 5, 4, right? We're at 4. Number 4. I have the original Final Destination.
No. We're at 3.
Are we? Oh,
yes.
Sorry. So 6, I have
number 4.
Number 4. 5, I have number 5.
Yep. 4, you have 2.
2.
Yep.
3.
Number 3. You're in the OG
1.
spot.
Number
1. Yep.
Showed us the whole, paved the way.
It's the Godfather, man.
Had really good heart. It just, the kills were very lacking compared to the rest. It was very more story based, which the ending wasn't that great to make it like better.
Yep. I agree.
Number 2 spot, I have Final Destination 3. I know.
Tell me more.
I don't think you need me to explain why this movie is so great. It took what number 1 had with a storyline, and it took what number 2 had with kills, and it put it together.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And that's it.
Yep. So your numero uno.
Yes.
Is Bloodlines.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I thought it gave life to the franchise. You disagree?
I don't.
It gave life to the franchise.
I'm literally not far off you at all.
It has great twists. It has heart. It built up characters where we actually felt for them and we didn't want them to die. It kind of made fun of the whole predictable deaths. I don't have any more. It mocked the franchise by having the predictable deaths and then having someone. I'll just say it from there. Yeah, I thought it was the best one.
I don't honestly, your ranking is not at all off from what mine is. So I'm going to rank, obviously, the worst one is number 4.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I don't know, I just didn't get a whole lot from it. It felt cut and paste from the previous stories, right? If AI was around, it's what it would have written, right? Mm-hmm. Like, this is exactly what this movie is about, right? Now, slight difference. I have number 5 next, right? Or no, I think that's the same as you have, right?
Exactly.
So I did actually write before this number 5 earlier, but because of the inconsistencies and it doesn't make any sense that they have cell phones, but they're also taking place before 2000. None of that makes any sense. It feels like it's trying to be something that doesn't make any fucking sense. What I flip-flopped was 5 and 1, right? Okay. So number 1, the original, is going to go into my 4 slot.
Okay.
And I think that it is a fantastic movie, but the biggest problem that it has is that I don't think that the deaths are overly. There are some parts of it that have the Rube Goldberg effect where a machine is working outside of the bounds that we know.
Mm-hmm.
There's, I think, one in the first movie that we really get to see is trickling to the next, and then someone dies.
Sean Wayne Scott, right?
Yep, exactly. Yep. So that one's going to be my 4 spot. It's the birth of the franchise, so I can't knock it too hard. But it doesn't do to me what the next couple do. I thought that, 2 is going to be in the second, or in the 3rd slot, right? So I thought that the second one was really good because, and it's weird because in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. But if you were watching the first one into the second one, it seemed like a huge deal that like all of a sudden they have this development that goes on where like, oh, if like a kid is introduced and if someone dies in a hot or like if you die, you can come back kind of thing. They brought two different distinct things which are recognized in the later movies as like ways to cheat death. And the biggest problem that I have with the Final Destination franchise is that they don't really give you any answers. And two, to me, gave me a ton more answers than questions, whereas the first movie gave me a lot of questions and no answers. So that's why I like the second one more than the first one. Now, I have Bloodlines ranking as my second in the franchise.
I knew it.
And yeah, it's pretty predictable, mostly because I can't get over 3 and how good it was.
Mm-hmm.
But Bloodlines was so good, they made us care about the characters, which is something new in the franchise. And there was also a part of it that was like, you know, maybe it's not just these singular small groups of the people that we've seen over and over again, where like, well, yeah, it's a jock and a skeptic and a premonition person, and like, we get those people, but we get to see those people more realized as actual humans and not just like conventions of a movie. Bloodlines was fantastic. The only reason it's not my number one is because I don't think it was as fun as Final Destination 3.
It was definitely more serious. Yeah, I get that.
I remember seeing, so like I'm going to just transition into why I love Final Destination 3. I remember seeing it in early high school, and all of the scenes were like so crazy and so ridiculous. It was like, to me, and looking back on it now, it's why I love horror so much, is because it doesn't take itself seriously. It wants to be ridiculous, and it wants to be like self-realizing, where it's like, yep, like these chicks suck and they deserve to die, and they're like gonna fucking have their titties out and they're gonna die in a tanning bed. And there's also like the high energy, like we didn't talk about this too much, but the opening death scene really does set the scene for the entire movie on like, what is this movie going to be like, right? And the roller coaster scene is just like, it feels so juvenile and like funny and silly and like wild that like, it's crazy to like look at this movie and be like, man, that's like not a serious horror movie to be taken like, you know, it matters to me. I guess like, I know that the movie is written to be ridiculous, but there's a part of it that also is self-realizing. It knows it's ridiculous, and that's what I love about the horror genre, is how silly it can be. And this movie encapsulated it, and it put it all in together and had some cool, funky things that it was adding to where people can be saved, or like skipped, and sometimes it doesn't work, and like you can defeat death, but not at the end. Kind of thing. 3 was definitely my favorite, and I think there's a nostalgia part that plays into that. It's like when I first started paying attention to horror stuff, but man, that was a good fucking movie.
That was awesome. So, and I think the reason why I chose Bloodlines over 3 is I definitely veered more towards a storyline than you do. You're very into the silly, which I am too, but like I go more to that like well written, and I thought Bloodlines was better written.
Oh, 100%. I will agree with you.
But yeah, 3, like obviously that was my number 2 because of those reasons that you spoke. Like it was literally like it had a good like plot, but it also had phenomenal kills.
When the kills, I think maybe 3 is the best kills. Like we didn't go like through them as a whole, but like 3 has some of the fucking best kills in my opinion.
Well, I think 5 had some. Like if
5 had good.
5 had really good kills.
Yep. And it's the last one, so like they're getting away from like the CGI kind of stuff, or at least like not even getting away from it, but like the CGI is so much better by the time they're reaching Final Destination 5 from 3, because 3 you like legitimately get to see like kind of some bad CGI. Yes. But they like sprinkle it, whereas 4 was just bad CGI. Mm-hmm. Like most of the movie is bad CGI, but like it's sprinkled in a little bit here in 3, especially in like the premonition scene kind of stuff. But no, I'm with you, and I think that the storyline isn't the same with Bloodlines as it is with 3. It's definitely better in Bloodlines, but
all right, man.
At the end of the day, man,
we've been talking for 2 hours now. We gotta
Jesus Christ.
We gotta wrap this bad boy up.
Anyways.
Do you have any closing statements?
Death comes for all of us. Don't forget that.
I had a good time.
I will also say that there was this scene with JB, William John Bloodsworth, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the movie. And I think that the actor, is it Tony Todd?
Oh, did he pass away?
He has died. He died on November 6th of 2024.
So that's why I was dedicated to him at the end.
Yep. And you can kind of see this like end premonition and Bloodlines. It's a pretty and knowing that is going on. Take his monologue, because he's in the new one. Take his monologue at face. It's a good commentary on death and what it means to all of us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Especially as him knowing that he was dealing with cancer and stuff like that. So his scene in that is like he's speaking from the heart, knowing that death is coming from him.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool
All
thing, having your legacy live on that way.
Yeah. R.I.P. my man. Well, I'm going to say that I had a really good time.
This is fun.
I thought that I wasn't, because I've never been a huge fan of these movies. Because
I'm glad you did this with me.
I'm a very anxious person.
Mm-hmm.
And so this has always been one of those series where I'm like, fuck, it's too much. A lot of them are.
They are. And they can be.
Yeah, I had a really good time going through all of them, especially just because you get to see like certain parts that are really good. And I don't think I would have appreciated Bloodlines as much as I did if I didn't watch all the first 5 right before. So I'm glad that we did this.
Dude, I'm pumped that you went on this journey with me, because I knew that you weren't the biggest fan, mostly because when I brought it up, you're like, I don't know. And I was like, come on, dude, the movie's coming out soon, and you're like, dude, fuck it, I'll go in on this journey with you. It's one of the earlier horror movies that I can remember watching. I was just pumped. This is why we do the show, is because we want to talk about things that matter to us.
We want to do horror. It sucks is because now we're going to have to do I Know What You Did Last Summer. We're going to have to do The Conjuring.
We may.
That's what we do.
I just keep dragging you down all these fucking awful movie franchises, because I got you to do Blair Witch, and then I got you to do this one. So next I'm going to make you do something really dumb.
We're here for the horror. That's what we're here for.
Horrors for horror.
Sign us off.
Man, we're going to do the same thing we always do. You guys, go watch these movies, and especially definitely go watch the new Final Destination Bloodlines. It is phenomenal. I can't recommend it enough. It's questionably, and not even outside the bounds of the best one in the entire series. You can only fight it with one other movie, but definitely go watch it. It's so worth it. And with that, we're going to say, stay weird, stay wicked, and fucking stay wasted.